Hello, my name is Coviello, and I want to welcome you to episode 0 of Quality Speaking Truth to Power. And this week I am joined by an amazing panel. I have with me today Joseph Llewellyn, Quality Manager, Automation Engineer, Speaker, and Coach, as well as Randy Hazel, Quality Manager and Director, and the infamous Doug Meyer, Six Sigma Master Black Belt. Welcome to the conversation. So each time we come together, we want to speak about important quality conversations. It is a noble profession that we have all pursued, but sometimes we need to open up the conversation and talk about what are the opportunities and challenges facing us, and maybe we can face the course of quality. But before we get started, I want to give an opportunity for everybody to introduce themselves, and then we will go into a conversation. And if you happen to have any questions, please message us. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions, or maybe they will be a topic for the next episode. So, with that, Joe, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Joseph Llewellyn, and I'm the quality
Uh,
manager.
please, your volume.
I'm muted.
You
Not
gotta,
too loud, too short.
You were
Now you're
breaking
good.
up.
Now you're good. Joe, introduce yourself.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi, my name is Joseph Llewellyn. I'm a quality manager, and I've been an automation engineer. I've worked in the automotive industry for probably 30 years. And I think the time is now for people to stand up and say, we have what it takes to make quality better without having a negative impact on production or safety or anything else. And this is kind of like a dream come true for me to be able to do a round robin online streaming and really talk with people that I respect and people that I trust to do the right things and challenge each other to get better. So thanks for being a part of this, and let's see where it goes.
Okay, Joe, thank you so much. And Randy.
Hi, my name is Randy Hazel. I've been in automotive quality for roughly 30 years. Just came out of retirement after a year to take on another quality manager's job. And I'll be 58 this summer, and it's the most fun I've had. So I'm just glad to be back in it, and I really enjoy the black and white nature of quality.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much, and pleasure to meet you, Randy.
Nice
And
meeting
Doug, you too. Doug.
Hi, my name is Doug Meyer, and I'm in the been in the automotive industry in various roles. More recently in quality for 35 years now. Some of that time was at Honda Motor Company, and I'm currently at Ford Motor Company as a Six Sigma Master Black Belt. I really am interested in quality because of the competitive advantage it brings to our industry. I'm real excited to be here.
All right, so thank you so much. And a little bit about me, Deb Coviello. I have been in industry for over 30 years with different hats in the area of quality and operational excellence. And the greatest thrill that I have one time was when we were trying to create a training video so that we would avoid having an error with our customers. And when an operator stepped into that video that we were using as a training video and they said, here's what we need to do to avoid a conflict or an issue with our customer. And if we don't do this, this is how we're going to negatively impact them. And when we as quality professionals see that the frontline worker understands what they're doing and why they're doing as it impacts the end user, that truly is so profoundly grateful for when you know that the quality organization is really working and it's ingrained throughout the entire organization. So that's why I love quality, and I am so honored to be able to facilitate this conversation. So we're going to jump into a bunch of different topics. I want everybody to jump in. I'm going to pick somebody, but then I want everybody just to jump in and share about their views. But I think the origin story of why anybody would step into the ring and take quality as a profession, I would love to know from each one of you what brought you into the area of quality, because there had to be a reason for us to be a little crazy and step into this arena. Joe, how about you? Go ahead, Randy, please.
No, I can go for it. I mean, I did not, quality chose me, and I stumbled into it, and it just happened to, be something that worked very well for me. And it just hit everything that I was looking for. It was the the very logical black and white nature of quality and the discipline. I first started out in supplier quality, and then it just grew from there. And I like the extreme logic and black and white nature of it. It's not hard. It's very easy. It just takes a lot of discipline, in my opinion.
But what do you mean by it chose you or it found you? There's got to be a story there.
Well, I went to work for Chrysler. I was a sales account manager for a company, and my wife got a job in St. Louis. We were living in Detroit, and I was the Chrysler account manager. And some of the Chrysler supplier quality people knew that I was going to St. Louis, and they said, "Well, we're opening up the Dodge Ram plant in St. Louis. How would you like to become supplier quality?" I'm like, "That sounds like a great idea. Let's do it." And that was the initial part of it, and then it just grew from there. Um, and I mean, I was just very fortunate to have two really good mentors who smiled upon me and blessed me, and and took my career forward in leaps and bounds.
You bring up a really good point. It is a tough pursuit that we have followed in the area of quality, and having somebody as a mentor to help us to understand when we might make mistakes or we're having challenging opportunities to be able to move forward our initiatives. Having somebody that has your back, a mentor, somebody is necessary in order for us to excel in our roles.
Mm-hmm.
So, Doug, how about you? What got you into quality?
Well,
Or
I've
why'd
actually
you choose quality?
I did actually literally choose quality myself. Coming out of college in the late '80s, had an opportunity to work for Honda Motor Company. In the late '80s, they were building transplants here in the U.S. So they were doing these mass hirings, lots and lots of open positions for engineers at the time. And they had a program where we would work in different departments for a 3-month rotation. And at the end of these rotations, you got a chance to choose where you wanted to work. So that's when I knew I wanted to work in quality. I just at the time I had seen some of the Japanese transplants come in and be very, very competitive with the U.S. auto industry during that time. And the key to success was quality, right? They were building a very good quality product at the time that was for a good price, and that was their competitive advantage. And I just wanted to learn more about that and see what I could do to be a part of that success.
I mean, you bring up a very important point, and I think we're all saying this. Quality can be a competitive advantage, not just a compliance, or thank goodness we have people checking our parts before going out. It can be a competitive advantage if done right.
Yeah.
Joe, how about you? Why'd you choose quality?
You want the truth? I swore up and down I would never go into quality until I wound up in quality. So I spent the first half of my career in automation, manufacturing, continuous improvement. And then when the opportunities in quality opened up, I was like, okay, if you don't confront all those reasons why you didn't want to go into quality in the first place, you won't be successful. And the reason I didn't want to go into quality in the first place is because there were some quality people that I saw that weren't necessarily all about product quality. They were just about sweeping things under the rug. So my take was, how do you make things better? And that's when I started to learn about quality, continuous quality improvements. And if quality personnel, if quality professionals don't help be a part of the solution, they're a part of the problem. So my stance is, be a part of the solution, help production, help manufacturing, help safety, help everybody get to where they need to be so you can make a quality product, excuse me, and be competitive.
You bring up such a valid point, Joe, in that sometimes if we haven't done it right, we are simply seen as the cop, the go, no go. The quality people are going to slow things down or make things difficult. But if done right, we then are seen as a trusted partner to guide people on how to get to root cause and solve something systemically versus, okay, whew, we got that out today. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. The role of a quality leader completely changes if we do it right, being a partner of choice. I don't know how people feel about that, but that's where we need to change the conversation. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So how did I choose quality? Doug, I had the same experience. I came out of engineering and had the opportunity with Raytheon Company to go into their manufacturing management development program. So I had 4 6 month rotations and supervision, production, et cetera. And the quality piece got my interest. And so coming out of a 2 year assignment in that program, I said, I want to be in charge of quality because I have to know a little bit about everything versus being so much of a subject matter expert. I liked having that overview, hence quality systems, quality management, being able to make the whole spectrum a little bit better. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But now let's just kind of get into some of the things that really are part of who we are. These are our stories that we want to use to inspire others. When we think about our career and we're learning our craft, getting our certifications, and moving forward, there is a moment in time when a quality leader says, Ah, I've made it, or a breakthrough, or a significant change that changes the direction of quality for the organization or even for yourself. And I would love for you to share maybe a story about what's one quality breakthrough that you have had in your career. Who would like to go? Anybody? Because this is important.
Well, can you explain a little bit more, Deb, what you think of that? Because I have
Well,
30 years experience. Obviously, I have a lot of examples. I want to make sure I grasp the right one.
well, I will tell you, there's a couple things. I have a story about just that thing where that operator on the front line, when they were able to internalize and completely explain what quality meant to not only them, but the customer, and you knew that you safeguarded the supply chain, that was a breakthrough. And I have another one where I helped a client get their quality certification and guided them on the process, and we got it in record time. And when they say they couldn't have done it without you, you realize that your expertise was valued and made a difference in the lives of people or a company. Those are breakthrough moments. I've just shared a couple. So I would love if you had one or two of those moments yourself.
Well, for me, it was a long time ago in my career. I was recognized as being able to do the right thing, and by the right thing, I meant I don't want to say I'm a fighter, but I'm I'm not conflict averse, which I think is a big plus when you're in the field of quality because there is going to be a lot of conflict. And when it's recognized that you will stand up and do the right thing, the ethical thing, the moral thing, I just think it's for me it was the light bulb moment that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the right thing and to be recognized for doing the right thing. Uh, you know, the first director job I got was when I was 36 years old, and it was because I was doing the right thing that one of my two mentors, they were both working at the same company. They brought me in because, and they specifically said, "We're bringing you in because you do the right thing, and we need more people to do that." So,
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Absolutely beautiful. Who else has a story? Because we're going to come to tears. We got to get a tissue box. I got a
I,
tissue
I got
box
it.
here because these are moments.
I was
go
gonna
ahead,
say
Paul.
my story. When it all came together for me is we were setting up master samples, boundary samples, first piece checks, all those different things that you need to really have a good grasp on how to teach the inspectors on what to do. And I started telling people you really want to make it as fun as possible to learn how to find defects. And I challenged people. I said, "Can you find a defect with your eyes closed, like blindfolded?" And everybody was like, "Yo, get out of here! You're crazy! You can't do that." I was like, "Just try it." I was like, "Let's just try it, right?" And the first operator that actually did it, their face lit up. They couldn't believe it because they were actually able to use the tactile approach, not just what they saw, but they knew they could touch the part and tell if the part was good or bad. And when we started developing those tactile approaches and you saw people like the light bulbs going off and their faces lighting up, I said, you know what? This is why a quality department should be here. It should be here to teach people how to get better at what they do so you don't have to sacrifice quality to make production numbers.
Let me add to that too, because I had a similar experience. One of the mentors I worked for, he was the COO of the company, and I was his executive director of quality. And when he would visit a plant with us, his entourage, and we'd walk through the plant, he would go to an operator at an assembly station. He'd tell the operator, he says, he pulled $100 bill out of his wallet. He says, "I got $100 if you can show me how to beat the error proofing." And the operator's like, "Okay, this is how you do it." And this guy would give him the $100. And then he turned to me. He says, "You got 3 days to fix it, or you owe me $100."
Oh
So
my God.
it was a great way to find. It was a great way to find how the system could be bypassed. And okay, so I have 3 days to fix it. But the operator, it became a game, and it was fun. And whenever he was walking through the plant with one of the plants with his entourage, people were willing to step up and say, I'll show you," because they wanted the $100.
Oh, wow. So you change quality from just a necessary evil to something that is fun and engaging and
Right.
financially rewarding.
Yep.
So, Doug, you're up. What do you have?
Well, for me, it's when I can change the culture of a company to embrace problem solving and quality. And in my role, I teach Six Sigma. A lot of mature companies have a Six Sigma program, but what I find is that not everybody uses it the way it's intended, and some people go off and they're a little discouraged. And it becomes, for some people, if you're not careful and you don't use the tools correctly, it could become an administrative task. Oh, the boss wants me to do a Six Sigma project. Hey, I know I did X, Y, and Z last week. Let me go write that up. That's not what Six Sigma is. And I always train people to, and I tell them, Six Sigma, although it's not karate, but it's like karate in that if you learn your kata, that's all you know is the motions. Now you got to go out and practice it, get good at it. And as you use it, you'll start to get good at it and use it the way it's intended to be used. So for me, what was very rewarding for me is when I was began to change the culture where people in our organization understand how to use the tools effectively and actually move the needle on quality. And the way I did that, it started out, I was attending some of our problem-solving meetings in different departments. We call them FTT meetings, first time through. Departments are always striving to build it right the first time, and we measure that through first time through. So our goal is to build 98% of our product defect-free without having to be reworked or better. So I'm attending these meetings where they're bringing up their FTT issues, and I noticed a common theme. People will say, "Hey, I took this action yesterday, and we're not having the problem today." Only 2 days later, it's back. And this keeps going on. And I'm thinking, well, it's because we ran that model yesterday, but not today. So okay. Are we tracking this model dependent? Is it shift dependent? So I started bringing some of the tools into the meetings and started tracking some of their issues with the data analytics and the data and the tools that we learn in Six Sigma, drill down trees, filtering, the Pareto diagrams, and started getting to solution on some of the issues that we were having, some of the big issues. And that's what I needed. I needed to be able to go in there and show the group, look, we can hit some home runs if you use these tools correctly, and here's how you use them. So that was a real rewarding time period for me, because we had a lot of new hires, just went through class, struggling to use the tools, and we're missing the mark, and that's why problems were recurring, and we hit some home runs there.
Well, thank you so much, Doug. Any other comments or stories? Because I got another story I want to share. Yeah. This is one where a quality leader never wants to deal with a negative circumstance, one that negatively impacts a customer, one where you might have to bring back a product and negatively impact the supply chain. It's a terrible place to be as a quality professional. But at the end of the day, once we did our investigation and we presented the findings to our customer, while we did get a tongue lashing for how could this have happened, they respected our root cause analysis and our systemic approach to hoping to making sure we never had it again. And when everything was said and done and we dotted our I's and crossed our T's, the client or customer thanked us for doing the right thing and they would have done the same thing. And so, as a quality professional, and we're going to get to this topic later, ethically, we made the right decisions. We made right by the customer. We may have inconvenienced them, but at the end of the day, we maintained a relationship with somebody to trust us that we will continue to have their back and continue to deliver a quality product to them. Those are another breakthrough moment when you know when you have all this experience, you've arrived and the customer thanks you. It's a beautiful place to be in. So, this has been a great topic, and we talk about those joys that we have. But I would love to discuss, however, pet peeves because I know before we jumped on here, I have pet peeves, things that I can't stand about the things that we have to face as professionals or ways of working. But I would love for you to maybe share a little bit about what is, one particular quality pet peeve that you have. Maybe how do you deal with it, or how might we change things? I'm looking for whoever has a story here. I appreciate that.
Well, I can I can go again. And the pet peeve, it, it's following the process, whether the process is building the parts or filling out the paperwork for PPAP, or getting drawings ready, all along those lines. My pet peeve specifically relates to not necessarily the process of making the part, but the paperwork process that gets you to PPAP, that gets you to where you're going. And when uh, there's a deadline that has been agreed to by other people, and they want to skip parts of the process to meet the deadline as opposed to following the process. And that is a huge pet peeve of mine, and one that having been in quality, go through quite often.
I wonder what the resistance is. I mean, I guess people don't understand the importance of the documentation to go with the process, or they just find it as a inconvenience and you're getting in the way of doing the things they prefer doing.
That's the latter. It's
Yeah.
getting in the way. We're trying to meet our customer demands, and like, well, yeah, so am I. And I don't. I had an email today where it's like, we need to meet the deadline, and I'm like, well, we, being me and others, did not commit to that deadline. So you're writing checks that we need to cash, and that's not going to work.
And, and so there lies the conflict that anybody in the organization, quality, operations, planning, etc., we are faced every day with these conflicting priorities. Yeah, we play for the same team. We're trying to service our customers in the best way. But at the end of the day, we focus on that the people can make choices or they're put in terrible positions for which they have to choose one over the other and they'll go the path of the least resistance. That's culturally something we need to change. People should be marching to the same set of priorities and make the same logical decisions. So I agree with your pet peeve. It upsets me as well.
Thank you.
Joe,
No,
how about you?
it's just
Go
it's
ahead.
just
Yeah,
one of those things it's constantly there.
I know. We got to change that conversation. We're starting here. So, Joe, how about you? What's a pet peeve of yours? Your
Again,
volume?
everybody else. Can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you
we
hear me?
can.
Am I
Thank you.
there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're there.
People put quality against everybody else when quality is everybody's responsibility, correct? So as a quality manager, quality professional, people would always ask me, "You're the quality guy. What would you do?" And I would always kind of answer back with, "What would you do if I wasn't here?"
Mm.
And they kind of look at you and "What do you mean?" I was like, "What would you do if I wasn't here?" That's the quality that's going to make it to the customer at the end of the day, right? So just tell me what you would do if I wasn't here, and then I'll tell you whether or not, you know, what I would do about that from there. So the pet peeve for me is definitely when people try to separate themselves from the quality process, as if the quality process is trying to work against production or against safety, or be some kind of safety net catch-all, and everybody else just gets to do whatever else they want to do. If we're not all in it together, the quality is going to suffer at the end of the day. So we got to work as a team. It's got to be everybody together. It's not just quality versus everybody else.
And that's the beauty I've seen in a lot of mature organizations where they have a daily huddle, not just for the operations or the quality team, but when you bring together the cross functional team on a daily basis, what's due today, what's due tomorrow, what new projects do we need to align on? You hold everybody accountable in the room to make those key decisions such that we don't have these conflicts, qualities holding it up. It's at least a conversation to align everybody. So that could be one solution if you're not doing that. Um, Doug, I know I've got a lot of pet peeves. I'm chomping at the bit, but how about yourself?
Well, this is a little bit like what Joe's pet peeve as well. Just lack of a collaboration, punishing suppliers instead of trying to develop
Mm.
suppliers, departments that blame each other instead of collaborate with one another. We need to be all on the same team for problem solving. And a lot of times when we have incoming supplier issues, some of the old school mentality is still there where we will punish the supplier, but not go there and help and assist in terms of problem solving. And how could we find root cause together, um, put it to bed, put adequate controls around it. And it's my pet peeve because if we don't take that approach, sometimes there's no guarantee that the suppliers put the right actions in place. There might be sorting behind the scene. We don't
Mhm.
know, but those type of activities are not sustainable. I want sustainable improvements put in place so that issues we deal with today, we don't deal with tomorrow and they never come back. And I think that only occurs through collaboration within departments as well as our suppliers.
Yeah, I'm so on board with that. I'm also in leadership development and helping people to close gaps between what is expected versus what actually happened. And often we just have to have a conversation. Well, what do you need to be successful? Did we hand you the right set of specifications? Do you understand when you signed off? Were you capable? And again, I don't like to say no to the customer, but we have to have those transparent conversations because if you're going to have this partnership, maybe we did send them an unrealistic specification. Sometimes we have to do supplier development because we trust them, we care about them, and they're capable. We just need to bring them up
Mhm.
such that they are aligned with our expectations. So, supplier quality becomes more of a partnership, just like we want to evolve that with our customers as well. So, yeah, big pet peeve.
It is a partnership, but it's also it's a two-way street. Our suppliers, I'm not saying blindly trust our suppliers, but we need to develop that culture of trust so that it is there.
Yeah. So true. And I'm going to round out this conversation with I have a pet peeve. And it's my persona right now when it comes to being a quality and an operations professional is not only the technical work that I do, process improvement, better, faster, safer, cheaper, but also very rooted in people development. And I see so many quality professionals, operations professionals, they're really good. They've got their Six Sigma. They know their stuff, but they're unable to articulate what needs to be done. This is urgent. We need to replace this piece of equipment. It's not detecting the defects, and the escapes are impacting our customer. They'll say, hey, we need to invest in this piece of equipment and it's going to cost this amount of money. See the graph. It's going in the wrong direction. And then we never equip our professionals with how to message and speak the language of money, the things that are going to resonate with the CFO or the unit area president. We don't do that well enough. And I think as part of building a better quality culture, giving them the tools, we also need to teach our professionals how to influence, how to speak, how to articulate, because a lot of what we do is to bring people along with whatever the standard is or the changes that we need to make. So that's a pet peeve of mine, and I'm on a mission to try to fix that. So this has been a great conversation, but this is going to start turning the tide a little bit about your thoughts on quality. We obviously have a lot to talk about in quality. There are a lot of things to fix. Individually, we're fixing within our own area of influence. But how do we, maybe yourself, or what do you think the future qualities, how do we fix quality? How do we build in quality? Any thoughts that you want to share with our viewers here on what should or could be changed? Anybody?
Well, and
Yeah,
I try to several places that I've been. I'm sorry, am I getting feedback?
just a little bit, but we're
Okay.
good.
I try to compare safety and quality. Safety's first and foremost. I get that, but when there's a safety issue in a plant, the team, it's all hands on deck, and they fix it. I mean, it just gets immediate attention and immediate care as it should. I would like quality to have a similar priority. They always say quality is second, but it's, safety is one and quality is like the 10th, with there's nothing in between 2 and 9. Um, I just found that, the safety issues will will get a ton of press and will get a ton of attention. And the CEO, the plant manager, everybody is on board. They got to get this fixed. They got to get this fixed. But a quality issue, we'll get to it. And like you were saying, Deb, with the business case, there's no amount of money that won't be spent to solve a safety problem. Whereas, quality problem, can we do it? Why do we need to spend that money? Can't we do it this way? Can't we do it that way?
You're rolling the dice
Yeah.
and see what happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. Who else? What would you change to fix the face of quality?
Well, I'll go. Because what Randy said resonates with me. I don't think people understand the value of putting money in quality, especially when it comes to training. I've seen CFOs say, "Hey, we saved some money here because we brought our skilled trades in later in the program, and those were three months we didn't have to pay." And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, but are they ready? when we start production, we got to be ready. And we save money today, but how about long term? So it's that I'd like to see more long term thinking around quality, the bigger picture, putting resources in training, because I really believe that training the people is probably the biggest impact toward quality, because automation's automation. Automation's very good at doing the same thing every time. People, on the other hand, if they don't understand their part in the process, they can circumvent it. They can find shortcuts. All kinds of things could happen unless they have that culture mindset and that proper training. So I'm real big on training
people.
when it comes to quality.
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback that too. I mean, and that's a conversation I've had with several leaders. Launching vehicles, launching programs. $10,000 spent now to prevent a quality issue. After your reputation takes a hit and there's a yard hole or whatever, you'll spend that $10,000 like snapping your fingers. But to try and convince them to do it ahead of time before the problem is very difficult to ask.
Yeah, I agree, Randy, because spending that money ahead of time is kind of a leap in faith.
Right.
People just look at, well, we don't have any quality issues. You just spend $10,000.
Yeah. Quality seems to be an intangible at that point. You can't put a definite figure on it. It's an intangible, whereas the cost of that machine is a tangible. The cost of, you start talking to somebody about a third party validation. You go through a yard hold, you go through things like that. Those are definitive costs, whereas doing it ahead of time, it's all intangibles.
Yeah. I think that's where the skill set that Deb brought up earlier about persuasion
Right.
Comes into play. If you're able to persuade and get the organization to see that big picture, change the culture to that mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Deb, I don't know if everybody can hear me, but I actually wanted to give you the chance to answer this one before I go. So, how
Okay.
do we fix it? What are the steps we need to take?
You're asking me now?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I'm going to a quick thought. I have a lot to say and think, and I've got a little feedback too, but that's why we're checking technology. But I want to be seen as a quality professional, as a risk partner, and I have to say I have been transformed by the latest version of the ISO 9000 quality management system standard, and it aligns with many other standards about risk-based thinking. And I remember, as part of getting a company ready for their ISO certification, we had to go through a very significant task of identifying every risk in the business, not just in quality, but HR, IT, sustainability, everything. And then we had to go through, similar to a DFMEA, we had to rank everything and identify and prioritize what were the risks in the business. And so when a quality professional can facilitate conversation around risk and proactively prioritize what we need to do now and later and lead the conversation amongst the C suite leaders, then we become a valued partner to help us stay accountable for changing the face of quality, not just quality, but any other risk that can negatively impact the people, the business, the community, our customers. And I think we have to really change that such that we're seen as a partner at the table to guide people versus a compliance exercise that's standing in the way of progress. So it's a pet peeve and what I would like to change. Joe, you're up.
Okay, so part of changing it and making it better for me is doing this, bringing people together that are not afraid to really say, based on the experience and what they've seen, hey, this is what's going on out there, and this is what we need to do about it. But I feel like the number one thing that has been done wrong is we've robbed people of the ability to feel good about the work they do, and then they kind of get this "who cares" attitude. And once that starts to creep in, the "who cares," let so and so deal with it. Now you have to work that much harder to fix it than if you would have actually taught people this is why you need to be proud of the work that you do, and this is why you should never accept anybody coming into this, whether it's a service provider, manufacturing facility, no matter what it is, anybody just kind of saying, ah, good enough, because once that gets in, you got to work so much harder to get it back out. So we have to be able to speak the truth to the power and be able to say, for every dollar you spend training people to do things the right way, you're going to spend $100. You're going to save 100, 1,000, $10,000 with that damage to the reputation, the recalls, all those different things. And you got to make that stand up front. You can't. It can't be us against them. It can't be this. If we're not all in it together, we're going to suffer once that good enough mentality, that kind of whatever, deal with it later mentality starts to creep in. So, can people be proud of the work they did at the end of the day? And if you're proud of the work you did, tomorrow you're not going to accept substandard quality when you know you can do better.
Beautifully said. Thank you. And that this has been an amazing conversation. So I'm going to ask a quick question. First of all, hopefully everybody here has had a little bit of fun answering these questions and putting it all out there and speaking the truth to power. Just want to check in. Would you be game to come on for another episode? Show of hands. Joe. Okay, very good.
Absolutely.
So we got a game plan. We are going to do this again because we know this is providing a lot of value, but we want to hear from our viewers. What do you think about this? Do you like Joe? Do you like Randy? Get rid of Deb. We'll have Doug talk. We love your feedback here, but we just think we are passionate about this topic. We think we need to have more conversations about quality. And to Joe's point, how can people be proud of the work that we're doing? So, any last closing thoughts before I bring this to a close, gentlemen?
So I definitely want to go because I'm kind of an instigator in all this. One of the
You
things I
are.
want to talk about in future episodes is there's this concept of the Deming 14 points. And that's where I really came to grips with people need to be proud of the work they do. They need to have a safe space to learn. But Deming has 14 points. And as a litmus test, most companies probably don't pass more than 7 of them. So I would definitely like to be able to take a look at the 14 points that Deming was talking about 80 years ago on how to get out of crisis. But also, Randy brought up a phenomenal point that we need to discuss. And we have to have Randy back on because what do you do when you're facing that corruption? Where you just got people that are just not going to play by the quality rules. And you got to be the one that puts the foot down and says, no, we're going to do it the right way, or it's not getting done at all.
So there you have it. A little bit of a glimpse into what we may be talking about in the next episode and future episodes. We would love to hear your feedback. We would love to hear you come back to Quality Speaking the Truth to Power. I thank you for my instigator partner in crime, Joe, and thank you so much, Randy and Doug, for joining the conversation. And we want to wish everybody much success and be well.
Before we leave, I wanted to hear
Oh,
from Randy and Doug just to make sure we're not leaving anything off the table.
got a little bit more to go, and then we'll end the show, please.
No, I'm obviously, I know I could talk for hours on pet peeves and things like that. So to try and pick one is very difficult in those things. But I mean, I think it's a useful conversation to have. My personal feeling, if I were to pick like Joe, the one thing, I would say the caliber of the quality manager. I got thrown into it. I was blessed with the two mentors, as I mentioned. But I've seen many quality managers who were not the right choice for the job. And they just, not enough planning goes into, and I think it's because the expectations, nobody knows the expectations, or I shouldn't say nobody, very few people know what's actually required along those lines. And I just think the recruiting method to get a good quality manager, as opposed to what we're talking about with the corruption or the ethics, somebody who's not that steadfast, that guy who's willing to be conflict averse, can really cause a lot of damage to an organization and their quality.
Mm-hmm.
Very critical. Anything else, Doug? Yeah.
Well, I like talking quality because it's the same reason I went into a math based major rather than English. 2 + 2 is 4. You know, these quality processes work. Deming principles work. Organizations may stray from them, but if you get back to them, it works. And I like to talk about what works, and it's straightforward and clear.
All right. Well, thank you again, everybody, again, for the opportunity to facilitate some troublemaking and some very fulfilling conversation. Thank you again, Joe, Randy, Doug, and to our viewers. We look forward to seeing you next time, and be well. Take care.
Thanks for having us.